The Poet X, Part 8. Wednesday, January 9th. Facing It. When I walk into first period English, Ms. Galliano takes one look at me and stands up from her desk, gestures me outside. Amon offered me one of his t-shirts, but my boobs pulled it too tight across my chest, and so I'm wearing the same outfit as yesterday. And by the way she looks at me, I know that Ms. Galliano knows it. But she doesn't mention clothes. She says she called my house. That when I ran out of poetry club, she got concerned, got the number from the school directory, that she spoke to my father, who sounded frantic, that my whole family was wondering where I was. She asked me if I've called them. She asks me what's going on, and my chest is heaving, because I don't know what to tell her. She puts a soft hand on my arm, and I look into the face of a woman not much older than me, a woman with a Spanish last name, who loves books and poetry, who I notice for the first time is pretty, who has a soft voice and called my house because she was worried, and the words are out before I know it. Confirmation, lying about poetry, the rice, the book burning, leaving the house, sleeping at Amon's. My face burns hot, and the words are too fast, and I wonder again and again why I'm saying them, and if some people are looking, but I can't seem to stop. All the words that I've held clenched tight, and then I say words I've never even known I've thought. I hate her, I hate her, I hate her. And I'm saying them against Ms. Galliano's small frame, her slim arms around me as she hugs me tight, and she tells me over and over, just breathe, it's going to be okay, just breathe. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do. And so I take a breath I didn't realize I needed to take. When has anyone ever said those words to me? Maybe only Amon, who's never forced me to smoke or kiss or anything. But everyone else just wants me to do. Mommy wants me to be her proper young lady. Poppy wants me to be ignorable and silent. Twin and Caridad want me to be good so I don't attract attention. God just wants me to behave so I can earn being alive. And what about me? What about Xiomara? When has anyone ever told me I had the right to stop it all without my knuckles or my anger, with just some simple words? But you do have to talk to your mom, really talk to her, and you do need to figure out how to make a relationship with her work. What I say to Ms. Galliano after she passes me a Kleenex. Okay. Going home is one of the hardest things I've ever done. All day I've been unfocused, unsure of what I need to do, of how to do it, hands trembling at the thought of what will happen when I walk through the front door, because my mother's ears are soundproof when it comes to me. The only one she ever listens to is God. During lunch, Isabel doesn't ask what happened. She just hands me her bag of Doritos. After bio, Amon rubs my shaking hands as we walk out the door. His gentle hold warms me up. During last period, Ms. Galliano comes to my math classroom and gives me a note with her personal cell number in case I need to talk to her later. When I step out of school, Amon's hand in mine, both Caridad and Twin are standing at the front gate. And although none of them can face Mommy for me, I know I'm not alone, and I finally know who might help. Amon, Twin, and Caridad. I introduce Amon to Twin and Caridad before we all walk to the train station. I want to ask Twin what happened after I left last night, but I don't want to know. I can tell by how tired he looks that whatever it wasn't good. No one says anything for a long time. Caridad squeezes my hand and tells me to call her. Amon kisses my forehead and tells me, "We gonna be all right." When Twin catches me looking at him, he gives me a soft smile. And then his eyes begin to water. On that rocking train, we hug and rock too. Divine intervention. I make a stop before going home because I know assistance comes in mysterious ways, and I'm going to need all the help I can get. Homecoming. At the apartment, I slide the key in, but don't unlock. I can hear both people behind me breathing. Mommy might not be home yet. I still have time to gather my thoughts, to get my life together. But when I open the door, she is there, standing in the kitchen, wringing a dish rag. Her eyes are red, and she looks small, so small. Twin gives my shoulder a squeeze and moves behind me. I take a deep breath and square my shoulders. Mommy, we need to talk, and I think we need help to do it. I step aside and let Father Sean cram into the kitchen. He reaches out a hand to my mother, Alta Gracia. And this woman I feared, this woman who has been both mother and monster, the biggest sun in my sky, bright, blinding, burning me to the wick, she hunches her shoulders and begins to sob. Silent, silent crying that shakes her whole body, and I am stuck and still before I go to her. My mother and I might never be friends. We'll never shop for a prom dress together and paint designs on each other's nails. My mother and I might never learn how to give and accept an apology from the other. We might be too much the same mirror. But our arms can do what our words can't just now. Our arms can reach, can hug tight, can teach us to remember each other. That love can be a band, tears if you pull it too hard, but also flexible enough to stretch around the most chaotic mass. My mother does not say she is sorry, that she loves me, and I hope one day for the words, but for now, her strong pat on my back, her hair, her hand through my hair, this small moment of soft is enough. Thursday, January 24th, Stronger. In bio, we learn about erosion, about how over time a small stream of water falling down the same rock face for centuries can break an entire mountain apart little bit by little bit. For the next couple of weeks, my mother and I work to break down some of the things that have built up between us. We meet with Father Sean once a week and talk, sometimes about each other, sometimes just about our days. My mother starts teaching communion classes, and she seems happier than I've ever seen her. The little kids make her smile. She gets excited over teaching certain passages, and I remember it used to be like that with me once. It's a sweet memory made sweeter when, at the third session with Father Sean, she gives me my name bracelet back. The gold melded when it had been broken, but still whole. Sometimes Twin and Poppy come to the sessions with Father Sean. Twin wiggles uncomfortably in his chair. I know there's a lot he doesn't say, but I hope one day he will be able to say it. Poppy surprisingly loves to talk, and once he gets going, he makes all of us laugh. And when we are talking about him and the things he's done that have hurt us, he doesn't leave. He listens. One day as we're all leaving, Father Sean turns to me, and I brace myself, afraid he's going to ask about confirmation, and that's still a can of worms I ain't fishing with. But instead he says, Xiomara, Xavier told us you're performing in a poetry competition. Your very own boxing ring, eh? I assume we're all invited? Slam prep. Miss Galliano wouldn't let me back out, even with everything going on. She said I needed to give it a chance. So I practiced in front of my mirror and at poetry club. Although I lost so many poems, and I feel a pang every time I think about them burning, I'm also so proud of all I remember. I'm trying to convince myself rewriting means the words really mattered in the first place. I need one really strong poem, and although I hate the idea of being judged and scored, I love the idea of people listening. And of course, winning. But the thing is, all my poems are personal. Some of the other slammers, I know they write about politics and school, but my poems, they're about me, about Twin and Poppy, about Amon, about Mommy. How can I say things like that in front of strangers? In house stays in house, right? Wrong, Ms. Galliano tells me. She tells me words give people permission to be their fullest self, and aren't these the poems I've most needed to hear? Ms. Galliano explains the 5 rules of slam. Number 1, all poems must be under 3 minutes. Number 2, all work must be the poet's original work. Number 3, you are not allowed to use props or costumes. Number 4, you are not allowed to perform with someone on stage. Number 5, you are not allowed to use a musical instrument. Xiomara's secret rules of slam. Number 1, do not faint on stage. Number 2, do not forget your poem on stage. Number 3, do not stumble over words or visibly mess up on stage. Number 4, do not give a disclaimer or introduction to your poem. Number 5, do not walk off stage without finishing the poem. The Poetry Club's real rules of slam. Number 1, perform with heart. Number 2, remember why you wrote the poem. Number 3, go in with all your emotions. Number 4, tell the audience all of the things. And number 5, don't suck. Friday, February 1st, Poetic Justice. 1 week before the slam, Twin, Mommy, and Poppy sit on the couch. I take a deep breath and try not to fidget. I open my mouth. And silence. I can't do this. I can't perform in front of them. The living room feels too small. They're too close to me. The words shrivel up and hide under my tongue. Twin gives me an encouraging nod, but I can tell that even he's nervous about how my parents might react. I close my eyes and feel the first words of the poem unwrinkle themselves, expand in my mouth, and I let them loose, and the other words just follow. The room feels too small, the eyes all on me, and I take a step back, but continue staring at the wall, at the family portrait hanging over Poppy's head. When I'm done, Twin is smiling. When I'm done, Poppy claps. When I'm done, Mommy cocks her head and says, "Use your hand gestures a little less, and next time, en voz alta. Speak up, Xiomara." Friday, February 8th, the afternoon of the slam. Aman and I go to the smoke park. I don't tell him I'm nervous, but he still holds my hand in his, slips an earbud into my ear, and plays Nicki Minaj. When the album is done, I get up to leave, but he tugs my hand and pulls me onto his lap. "I'm going to crush you." He smiles at me. "Never, X. I have a present for you." And I see his phone has gone from the iTunes app to the Notes app. I'm stunned when he begins reading a poem to me. It's short and not very good, but I still blink away tears, because after all the poems I've written for him and others, this is the first poem ever written for me. I'll never be as good of a poet as you, Poet X, and I believe you're strong enough to defend yourself and me at the same time, but I'll always have your back, and I'll always protect your heart. And I've never heard something more deserving of a perfect 10. At the New York City-wide slam. With Ms. Galliano's assistance, I let the poem rise from my heart. With Twin helping me practice, I hand it over like a present I've had gift wrapped. With a brand new notebook, I perform like I deserve to be there. With Aman's and J. Cole's inspiration, I don't see the standing ovation. With YouTube and English class, I don't see Caridad and Isabel cheering, or with Caridad holding my hand, Aman and Twin dapping each other up. With Mommy and Poppy in the front row, I don't see Father Sean in his collar smiling. With Father Sean in the audience, I don't see Poppy telling people, "Esa es mi hija." With Isabel and the club cheering, I look at Mommy and I give her a nod. I stand on a stage and say a poem. There is power in the word. Celebrate with me. After the slam, Mommy and Poppy invite my friends over, and Ms. Galliano and Father Sean too. Mommy makes rice and beans and orders pizza, a strange mix, but I don't complain. Mommy and Poppy won't call Aman my boyfriend, but they let him sit on the couch. At one point, Isabel starts playing bachata on her phone and pulls Caridad to dance with her. Next to me, I see Twin tapping his feet and pretend not to look at Stefan. Aman starts Spotify DJing. Ms. Galliano and Father Sean begin a heated convo about Floyd Merriweather, and then there's a tap on my shoulder. And I turn to see Poppy holding his hand out to me, reaching for my arm, asking me to dance. I should have taught you a long time ago. Dancing is a good way to tell someone you love them. I catch Mommy's eyes in the doorway of the living room. She smiles at me and says, "Palante, Xiomara, que para atrás ni para coger impulso." And she's absolutely right. There will be no backward steps. And so I smile at them both and step forward. Assignment 5, first and final draft. Xiomara Batista, Monday, March 4th, Ms. Galliano, explain your favorite quote. The unfolding of your words gives light. It gives understanding to the simple. Psalm 119, 130. I was raised in a home of prayers and silence, and although Jesus preaches love, I didn't always feel loved. The weird thing about the Bible is that almost everything in it is a metaphor, so it seems to me that when the Bible describes church as a place where 2 or more people discuss God, they don't mean just the cathedral-like churches. I don't know what, who, or where God is, but if everything is a metaphor, I think he or she is a comparison to us. I think we are all like or as God. I think when we get together and talk about ourselves, about being human, about what hurts us, we are also talking about God. So that's also church, right? I know this might seem blasphemous, but my priest tells me it's okay to question, even if they seem bizarre. And so I love this quote because even though it's not about poetry, it is about poetry. It's about any of the words that bring us together and how we can form a home in them. I don't know if I'll ever be as religious as my mother, as devout as my brother and best friend. I only know that learning to believe in the power of my own words has been the most freeing experience of my life. It has brought me the most light. And isn't that what a poem is? A lantern growing in the dark.